Blacks in technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Good evening and welcome to another very exciting broadcast of the Bit Tech Talk podcast, aka Blacks in Technology podcast. This is Founders Hour, and this is officially our 50th episode. So definitely, thank you. Thanks. No need for applause. I want to thank all of our supporters, our listeners, our members for supporting Blacks in Technology throughout the years. We all definitely appreciate it. It feels wonderful to still be here. It's been about 4 years, and I never would have dreamed that we would still be doing what we're doing right now. So from everyone here at BIT, we definitely thanks for the support. I'm your host, Greg Greenlee, founder of the Blacks in Technology organization. We're an organization with an established online community of over 1,100 members nationwide. Last podcast, I said we were close to 1,100, and we just plateaued and reached the 1,100 registered member mark, so that's great as well. I also work as a systems engineer with over 12 years in the IT field. Like I said, this is our 50th podcast, and these last few podcasts we have been running in conjunction with NPR's A Day in the Life, Blacks in Tech campaign. Tremendous conversations going on and terrific campaign, so I want to thank NPR for organizing that. So I want to also thank Howard Middle School for participating, for all the questions, and thank all the participants. They've been great and wonderful, and all our tweets out there for their spirited discussions. Reminder, we did just launch the IRC channel, the Bit Tech Check on freenode.net. So if you are one of the true techies out there, you know what IRC is all about. Come and join us on the channel. We're having some great technology discussions. That's hashtag Bit Tech Chat. So check us out, blacksintechnology.net. It's www.blacksintechnology.net. That's our online community. Visit us, join. It's free. Engage in the community. Lots of very knowledgeable and experienced individuals there on the site. Definitely a great place to learn about tech. Lots of great tech conversations. We have the podcast. We're continuing to grow, so help grow the community. Like I said, we're over 1,100 members, registered members now, so spread the word, and engaging on the site and contributing is key. So if you're on the site, if you can poke around for a little bit, but we want you to engage. Get in there, ask questions, network with some of the great people, some of the great members on the site, and just have some fun. And that's what it's about. It's about technology, and it's about helping each other to learn and grow. So in case you're joining us for the very first time, a little bit background on Blacks Technology, founded about 4 years ago as a way to build a sense of community among Black techs and engineers and people looking to learn, share knowledge about the world of technology. It's a great way for the community to build and learn from each other. We have experts across all domains of technology, mechanical engineers, network engineers, sysadmins, software engineers, and you name it, we have it. We have somebody from that discipline. So we're looking for people to engage, contribute to community, no matter what your skill level or expertise is, because this is about building community and about helping one another succeed in our careers. Our main goal of Blacks in Technology, as always, is to stop the divide, and we're trying to accomplish that by focusing on three things. That's increasing visibility, increasing participation, changing the perceptions of Blacks in the technology field. So check us out, www.blacksintechnology.net. Also check us out for our blog, technology blog, written entirely by African-American techs and engineers. That's bitdigest.net. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Black in Technology, BLKINTECHNOLOGY. Also at Bit Tech Digest. That's BITTECHDIGEST. There's a LinkedIn group for Blacks in Technology. We also have a Facebook page under facebook.com/Blacks in Technology. Our 50th episode, like I've said like 3 times already, in case you haven't visited Spreaker, and that's where we host these podcasts, and you don't see episodes 1 through 46, that's because we're on Podbean for those, and we're making a transition over to Spreaker. We're testing this out. It's working great. We love the live format. It gives us a chance to engage with our community live. So we're going to be switching we're going to be transitioning all of our podcasts over to Spreaker and importing the old one. So soon you'll have our entire playlist to keep you busy for quite some time. So tonight we are talking with African-American tech founders. During this podcast, tweet us your questions. If you have questions for our founders, tweet us. Hashtag BitTechTalk. That's BITTECHTALK. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce and pass this over to Jewel Sparks. She actually produced this show, so big ups to Jewel for doing this. This is a great lineup that we have for you tonight. I'm not going to hold her back any longer. I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce our guest. So, Jewel, go ahead and take her away.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jewel Sparks. I manage strategic alliances and partnerships for BIT, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Strategic Diversity Group and BIT House. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our guests this evening. We have Charlton Bell, Nicole Cole, Brittany Fitzpatrick, Deshawn Amira, and Candace Mitchell. Let me tell you a little bit about Charlton Bell. Charlton Bell is the president and CEO of BioNanovations Corporation. BioNanovations has developed a bio-nanotechnology-based device called TestQuick, which allows doctors to diagnose and or monitor bacterial infections in real time. Charlton has a Master's of Science in Biomedical Engineering and is currently finishing up his PhD at Vanderbilt University in Biomedical Engineering with an emphasis on bio-nanotechnology. Infusing novel bio-nanotechnology into current medical systems and devices for an increase in point-of-care ability, efficiency, and ease of use has been Charlton's dream since he was adolescent. Charlton, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Our next guest is Nicole Cole. Nicole is the founder and CEO of Skydera. Skydera is a cloud computing and big data company focused on building modern tools for a modern IT world. Nicole is a veteran of big data and data analysis. He was the architect for the National Traffic Management System deployed by TeleAtlas and Westwood One's radio stations. Nicole was responsible for building the systems that provide all traffic data in North America for all of Westwood's radio stations. Nicole has a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering with a minor in business. Nicole, thank you very much for joining us this evening as well. Our next guest is Brittany Fitzpatrick. She's the founder and CEO of MentorMe. MentorMe is a social enterprise working to close the mentoring gap through their technology. Brittany believes that social impact should be the driving force behind innovation and entrepreneurship, so she has dedicated time to developing innovative technology that will help MentorMe fulfill its mission of a mentor for every kid who needs one. Brittany, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Our next guest is Deshawn Amira. He is the founder and CEO of Maven Incorporated. Maven is a technology company which plans to reshape the distribution of Black salon retail products and is an alumni of the 500 Startups Accelerator Program. Deshawn has lived and worked globally for 10 years throughout China, Ethiopia, Brazil, and Europe. He has a global MBA from Georgia Tech University and the Sorbonne in Paris, France. Deshawn, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you, Jewel and Greg, for having me.
Our last founder this evening, last but not least, is Ms. Candace Mitchell. She's the co-founder and CEO of Tech2Rise. Tech2Rise is a beauty tech startup enabling women to discover new hairstyles, products, and local stylists in their area. Candace has a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Science from Georgia Tech Institute of Technology. She is on a mission to share her gifts with the world through science and technology. Her interest in cosmetology began in her early teens, and she transformed into the passion for computing. Candace, it's a pleasure to have you on as well.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
And I just want to say that BIT feels very honored to have you guys all on the air with us this evening in order to share with us your wins, the impact that you've had, your learnings, and the role that your leadership has played in inspiring others to enter fields involving STEM and how you're enhancing your community. So without further ado, let's get this started. The first question that I have for you guys, and I'm going to start with Charlton to answer this. What is your company's elevator pitch?
So BioNanovations, what we do is we diagnose life-threatening bacterial infections. We're starting with staph infections. We diagnose these life-threatening bacterial infections in less than 30 minutes instead of the current 2 to 5 days. And the cool thing about it is, since we use nanotechnology, which is where the nano and bio-innovations comes from, since we use nanotechnology, we're able to deploy this test in a handheld device. And this handheld device can track how these diagnoses happen, across the world, wherever there our devices are used. So we can actually track how trends are developing as far as certain diseases in real time.
Great. So you're basically bridging the gap between science and tech.
Definitely, and that's one of the primary focuses of how the industry is moving. Moving away from the slow day-to-day operations of medicine and starting to innovate and bring us more into a real-time tech-based industry.
Okay.
Nicole, I'm sorry. I just want to cut it. That's just exciting, just simply because I know that time, when you're dealing with people's health, time is of the essence, and being able to, diagnose people in real time, that's got to be, tremendous as far as, what you'll be able to prevent. When it comes to people's health. And I just want to also say that as far as biomedical engineering, I'm happy that you're on the show, because a lot of the talk and the discussions have been around people who code, and it's just great to see that, another aspect of technology, biomedical engineering, being represented. So thanks a lot, Charleston.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
So Nicole, tell us your pitch for Skydera.
Did we lose Nicole?
I think we might have lost Nicole.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
We'll move on to
Brittany.
Yeah. So Brittany.
Yes.
So
I'm here.
Mentor me, please. Tell me a little bit about Mentor Me.
Sure. So Mentor Me is leveraging technology to help programs better match and manage mentoring relationships. And our current focus is youth mentoring, where there is a gap of 15 million kids who want and need mentors, but who are currently going unserved because the process of matching mentors and mentees is currently very paper-intensive and therefore unscalable. So our technology is designed to not only create better matches for mentors and mentees, but to do it in a more efficient and cost-effective way that can be tracked and measured so that programs can actually improve over time and scale their impact.
Wow. That's a
we need to talk. We need to talk to Brittany.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, because that's one of the biggest things that people talk about when aspiring or seeking a career in tech is there's no mentors. And I've always wondered, like, how do we match up people that are interested in getting into tech with mentors? We have a membership base of 1,100 tech professionals. So there should be no reason why people can't reach out or be able to find somebody on our site. So yeah, we'll definitely be talking.
Absolutely. Well, you have the information, so feel free to reach out if you have to help.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, because the past couple of weeks, we've been engaging a lot of our founders and leaders, African-American leaders, with the NPR, Twitter series. Mm-hmm. And every day they're talking about, find a mentor, have a mentor, and the importance of us aligning as, leaders within our community with children. And also just to help engage them and encourage them to go into fields of STEM. So what you're doing is definitely much needed, for sure.
Thanks so much.
Mentorship shouldn't have to, always be an in-person thing. So being able to, have something like Mentor Me and have it, in the virtual world, which a lot of things are nowadays, is great.
Yes, and that's where kids are as well these days. So it just makes sense to move in that direction.
Definitely. Very cool.
So Deshaun, you just arrived back from China. I was aware of that. Yes, and you're recovering. So first of all, I'm very happy that you recovered enough to join us this evening. Tell us about Maven. You've had quite a ride with the 500 startups and going back and forth between China and Oakland. So
it's quite an adventure. And it's been a long road thus far, and we have a long ways to go. So here's what Maven does. African Americans spend over $9 billion a year on hair products. Yet less than 5% of all African American hair salons have any significant retail component to their business. So we're servicing all of these clients, but we're not generating any revenue inside of our salons from actual product. Instead, all of the clients are sent to these local beauty supply stores, and that's where they buy all of their products. So what Maven does is we enable any hairstylist or salon to retail products directly to their clients, but without having them have to bear the cost of buying or holding any inventory. We have stylists using our platform right now. We're approaching close to 1,000 hairstylists now, and we have stylists who are increasing their revenue per client by up to 100% by using Maven.
Nice. That's great. So you're basically enabling salon owners to also generate revenue from the sale of these products to their clients as well. Is that correct?
Yes, salon owners and hairstylists themselves. So we actually target the hairstylists themselves. But, you know, in other demographics where it's very typical that they sell product in the salons, a salon can generate up to 40% of all of their revenue from just selling product. And in the African-American community where we outspend others 3-to-1 on hair products, that's an incredible amount of revenue that's just not being captured by our salons or by our hairstylists, and instead is going outside of the community.
You know, I have to give it to you because, you know, I've gone to those beauty supply stores. And you know, I've heard for a number of years that it's really difficult, like basically to purchase some of those products. Because is it true that sometimes the beauty supply owners, they have like sometimes they're the only ones that can purchase, you know, the products and stuff from China and all that stuff. So how are you getting beyond those issues?
So yes. So let's just, 80% of all the beauty supply stores are owned by one ethnic group that are not African American. And they source all of their products from China.
Yes.
They're not Chinese, but they source all of their products from China. I have a background in international trade. I lived in China for a couple of years. I speak Mandarin, and I've done a lot of import-export from there. So we go to China, we go to India, where a lot of these products are sourced from, and we go directly to the manufacturers. These manufacturers have no problem dealing with us. The distributors, however, the ones who supply all the beauty supply stores, they are typically much harder to deal with and harder to get retail accounts with if you are not in their circle.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks for sharing that. And I'm sure you and Candace, I have a lot to talk about offline as well.
Yes, definitely.
So without further ado, you know, Candace, tell us about Texturize.
Sure. Texturize, we are a beauty tech startup based in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're a team of computer scientists and chemical engineers, and our mission is to disrupt the hair care industry using science and technology, and we're primarily focused on the consumer. We've produced a mobile app. It's called Mayorana. It has its own brand name, and it's for women to discover the best hairstyles, products, and local stylists in their area. We're targeting African-American women. We actually control a third of the hair care industry revenue, and we're only 6.5% of the U.S. population. So that just shows how much that hair care and beauty is a priority when it comes to spending.
However, with the movement of growing out your natural hair and using different types of products that are either organic or more better for your hair texture, a lot of women have resulted to finding different types of hair care content online to maintain their hairstyles, and everything is disintegrated across the web. You have pockets of conversations on social media, on forums, on different websites, and what we're aiming to do is create a one-stop destination for hair care information, shopping, and socializing. And we're going mobile primarily because our target market, over 70%, researches information on their mobile phone before purchasing or going with a specific service. And so we're aiming to position ourselves to be a really great resource for the everyday woman on the go. And we've just launched our app a couple weeks ago and seeing some really good early adoption there. Yes.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you and Deshaun, I think you guys definitely have a lot to talk about. You're focused on the consumer. They're trying to find the hairstyle. He's focused on the stylist making the hairstyle. So, I'm glad that you guys are both here, and, there's some synergies for sure.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't have anything.
Okay. Was Nicole able to join us? Is Nicole back online?
Yes, I'm back online. Can you hear me?
Yes. So Nicole, tell us about Skydera.
Sorry for before. So Skydera is a cloud management and analytics platform. What we're doing is we are taking the complex world of cloud computing and bringing it to a more consumer level by building tools that are easier to use, beautiful. So it's commonly called the consumerization of enterprise. We're taking what would cost a company millions to tens of millions of dollars and bring it down to the level where a small organization like a startup or a mid-sized enterprise can afford to have the same tools that a Intel or a Microsoft would have internally.
Excellent. That's more up my alley. I deal with cloud computing, pretty much every day. So that's fabulous. I definitely know that those type of tools are very, very expensive. And I kind of want to. I had a question. I mean, your answer just now is kind of already answered the question I had posed for you, which is what problem are you solving? But what differentiates this from something like like Splunk?
So Splunk is a log analysis platform. Mm-hmm. So they analyze your logs. We actually are a command and control platform and an analytics platform. So we allow you to run your servers, manage your servers, as well as scale up and scale down your servers. And we do high-level analytics, not just what's going on with my logs, but what are my users doing in my application? Where are they clicking? How are they dealing with my application? As well as what does my top-line revenue look like? So we look at your lifetime value, your cost of acquisition, your return of revenue, and those type of things.
So you're more like along the lines of Cloud Stack, but on steroids.
We're a combination of kind of like a Google Analytics plus a cloud management platform. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
And we want it to be accessible not by just companies who can afford $1 million or $2 million licensing fees, but startups who usually have trouble finding tools that they can use or just have to build it themselves.
Is this open source, or do you have any plans on open sourcing it?
There's not open source, but we have a SaaS model, so it's a subscription model. And we have definitely use a lot of open source software in our stack, and we do support some open source projects as well. So we do contribute back to some open source projects, but Skydera itself is not open source.
So is this more like I'm sorry for hogging some questions here, but is this more like is this like an appliance, or is this Is this something that you would install on top of a already existing system, or what?
Before we used to do touchless management, so you wouldn't have to install an agent or anything like that. The last iteration, we have created an agent-based system, allowing for greater control. So it allows you to do many more things that weren't possible in the past. So you do install a very small agent, which then allows you to control your whole entire system as if it's in front of you. And then you also have the ability to push events from your frontline application. So if it's a mobile application or a web application or even an appliance, you can push events to our analytics system, and then we will give you analytics like how long do they sit on your site, what path do they take through your site, what is your retention, and those type of things. We go pretty deep into how your systems are working.
Very, very nice, and I'm very, very intrigued. I'm going to look at this and definitely and see whether or not my company can use it, because that sounds like definitely something up our alley. In case if you're tuning in right now, this is the Founders Hour for the Bit Tech Talk. You can follow us on Twitter at Black in Technology. It's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. Also use the hashtag Big Tech Talks if you have a question for our guest tonight, and also Bit Tech Founders.
So I have a question. I'm going to move on to Britt. Britt, what impact have you made thus far with Mentor Me since you launched the company?
So we launched in private beta back in May with a mentoring program in Memphis. So we've already done some mentoring relationship matches, most of which are still continuing today. And I think for me personally, the impact that I hope that I'm making is just for people to see an African-American woman in this space and hopefully show a different representation than what some people may associate with African-American women, whether it be in the media or, in other sectors. And so that's just something I'm very passionate about personally. Having spent some time in San Francisco for a few months, and then also, of course, being in Memphis, I know that there's a disparity just nationwide in general, and so that's something that I'm really passionate about showing as a different representation through, the founding of my company.
So you're leaning in and you have a nice tan.
I'm sorry?
I said, so you're leaning in and you have a nice tan. That was a little Sheryl Sandberg. Yeah, exactly. That's nice. That's nice.
Nice. Cool. So I want to move on to you, Deshaun. I want to talk about when a founder should start thinking about scaling. I don't know if any of you have reached that point yet where you're thinking about, or maybe is this something that they should think about in the beginning?
I think, first of all, if you're going to found a company, you should always be thinking about scaling in some form or another. Scaling can mean anything, and it's going to vary depending on what type of business you start. But scaling can be going from 2 customers to 10 customers, or it can be going from 10 customers to 10,000 customers.
Right.
So you always want to be thinking about how can I make this business get bigger, and what are the economics of making it get bigger. But in general, if we're talking about, okay, we're at the seed stage, we've kind of figured out what we're doing, and now we want to take this to the masses, and we want to go get 1 million users or 10 million users or something like that, right? I think there's a few things that you want to make sure that you have in the bag. One, you need to know the size of your market. You need to have validated that to know, can you even scale as big as you think you can scale? If you're in Silicon Valley and you're trying to raise money, you need to have a market that's $1 billion or more in order for people to want to put money into you. So you need to think about that. From what you're doing right now, do you have enough customers, and do you have enough customer feedback to really validate that people want what you're selling? So you don't want to just go on. You can't just go on. Oh, my brother or my sister and my aunties, they all bought, what I'm selling, and they all signed up. You need to go out there and you need to go get a bunch of strangers to buy or sign up for or whatever, or subscribe to what it is that you're selling. And once you do that, then when you really think about like technically how you're going to scale or economically how you're going to scale, you need to know what it's going to cost you to get bigger. So you have to look at the customers you have, and you need to say, how much did it cost me to get each one of those customers? How much is it going to cost me moving forward to get all these millions of customers that I want to get? Because that's going to tell you how much money you need to do it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to need to know, all right, every one of those customers that I go spend this amount of money to go get, how much money are they going to bring me back? And that's going to be basically, your gross margin, and that'll tell you if you can scale. So, I mean, I think that's the long-winded answer. The short answer is you should always be thinking about it.
Gotcha.
But before you go big, you should definitely have these things kind of wrapped up.
Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about how much it costs to scale your customers, for example, in your case, your customers are both stylists and manufacturers. Is that correct?
Our customers are stylists.
Yes.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to build relationships with manufacturers in order to bridge the gap to the stylists. Is that?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we buy inventory, so we hold all the inventory. So we're customers of the manufacturers. So we buy and we hold all the inventory, so that stylists do not have to do that. And we simply fulfill the orders for the stylists and pay them out once a week for their sales.
Wow.
Right.
If I was a stylist, I'd be on board. Well, you said you have 1,000 on board right now?
Right. Yeah.
I'd be 1,000.
We're approaching 1,000, and we just kind of did a real launch in September. So it's growing pretty rapidly, and we have a lot of positive feedback. But that's one of the things right now that we're very focused on is our cost of acquisition. How much is it costing us to keep acquiring new stylists? And you have to find different channels to acquire them through. Most likely, you're not going to always get all your customers from one channel. You're going to have to look around and get customers from different places. So that's something you really want to keep your eye on.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you also need to keep in mind is like you're talking about, is your key performance indicators. Understanding what you need and how you're going to get it. So, like, part of Deshaun was talking about is like your lifetime value for your customers and your cost of acquisition. And once your lifetime value and your cost of acquisition get to the point where it makes sense to scale, then you start pouring on cash. Because if you get to the point where for every customer you get, let's say a customer costs you $1 to get, but then over the lifetime of the customer, they pay you back $3. So once that starts to happen, for every customer it becomes a positive. Then you go out and raise money as much as you can, pour gas on it, and then you can then take off. But you don't want to do that. You don't want to prematurely scale because it can be devastating for you sometimes if you prematurely scale. So you want to really keep track of your KPIs and make sure that you understand what your performance indicators are for your business before you start to scale.
I agree. Excellent.
Wow.
And if anyone of you have, wants to chime in on these questions, feel free. If you want to join in on that. But thanks. That's great advice. Definitely great advice for our listeners.
Yeah. So Candace, I have a question for you. You've done like a whirlwind tour, I think, across the United States. I mean, your company in terms of pitch contests, you've been on TV. Did you just win some like an award from the Chamber of Commerce or something in Atlanta?
Yeah, that was probably either related to the Shark Pitch event where we pitched to Kevin Harrington, who was one of the original sharks on Shark Tank, or it could be related to the Technology Association of Georgia. We won their business launch competition, and that organization does a lot with the city of Atlanta. And just kind of the whole effort that they're putting behind technology companies and building the economy here. So it's probably related to one of those.
So what are you most excited about right now in terms of your Texturize and your app and everything that you experience?
What we're most excited about is the user adoption. Just to have our app live. It's available in the Apple App Store right now. We decided to build on iOS first, and now we're working on Android. But as an entrepreneur, one of the greatest feelings is shipping your product. I mean, there's nothing better than just actually all that hard work and actually having something that you feel is worth putting out there into the market and seeing what your initial response is. And so getting it out there for your customers to begin using it, and that really is when the real work begins, because you start to get their feedback and you start to learn how to tweak certain things to affect your metrics, because right now we're monitoring our user funnel. So like how many users are we acquiring on a daily basis? What's our retention rate? How can we get more people to refer people to the app and get that viral growth going? And so that's just the exciting part to see, how the numbers are playing out, because that's what's going to give you your key indicators of success in terms of the growth rate without the marketing and advertising really first, because you want to see how it can grow organically first before you start putting those dollars into it, because you don't really, in the beginning, you really don't know the value of each user. And so just as we're starting to see how it's growing, that is really exciting. And we've actually gone through multiple iterations of our product, and we've done tons of customer discovery. Up to this point, we've probably spoken to over 5,000 women one-on-one about their hair experiences, yes. So just getting real detail to understand, what is it like in 2013, because we have all these social platforms and things that affect our purchasing patterns and where people are buying products, where they're going to search for content and things of that nature. So really understanding when those pain points happen, like are they at home? Are you in the store? Are you in the classroom? Are you getting ready for a date? Did you just get a new job? Like those are really key things that happen in everyday life that are trigger points for that really affect our target market when it comes to beauty and appearance. And so we're just really excited to see, what's the next step for us. And also just being in Atlanta, I know we kind of feel a little siloed from the Silicon Valley world, but Atlanta's really growing in terms of our entrepreneurship scene and really the intersection of technology and culture, because Atlanta is a hub for so many different markets. Like, we have Georgia Tech, one of the top institutions in the world, but we also have the Atlanta University Center, the HBCUs who are here, Emory is here, and then you have this budding music scene. And then, Atlanta's the hair care capital of the world, if y'all didn't know. So we have all these
I know that.
And so
now they know.
Yeah, I know a few barbers.
Right. We have a family called the Bronner Brothers, who are historic in the hair care industry, and they have the hair shows that happen a couple times a year, and literally hundreds of thousands of people come in town for that. And so it's just exciting to be in the midst of all this growth, especially with tech startups, leveraging the university that's right in our own backyard and not having to feel forced to move to different cities to build your company. we're just learning that we can, really use the resources that we have here. And so that's just been exciting, taking all of the learnings, the successes, the exposure, and even the failures and the lessons learned to see how can we ultimately use all that for good and move things forward for our company.
Excellent. I have to take a quote from P. Diddy himself and say that if you're in a startup life, you have to be built for this, because it sounds like 5,000 to sit and listen to just 5,000 of anything. That takes a lot of patience, and like I said, you have to be built for pursuing your dreams and really putting yourself out there in order to achieve what you want to achieve. So. Big ups to all of you.
Yes, definitely.
So, Charleston, I want to get back to you. I want to talk about what has been the biggest hurdle that you faced during your startup process.
Oh, good night. So like you were just saying, one has to be built for the entrepreneurial journey. And one thing that I thought when I was getting into this whole startup thing was that, I have a medical device company. All I need to say is that, hey, look, this could save your life, and I'm getting money, I'm getting customers, right. All that's coming automatically.
That's what I would do.
Right. But the fact of the matter, unfortunately, is that the medical device space right now is kind of struggling along, and that's for two separate reasons. Primarily because of regulation. Regulation, and then investment dollars that are risk adverse and have fear of failure due to regulation, and fear of failure just due to how the human body works. You have a great idea that works in the lab, you put it in the human body, it doesn't work, or you run on human samples and it doesn't work. So to answer the question, it's been the first thing, that the greatest struggle is just simply getting traction amongst investors, when kind of during this time investors are looking more to either more flashier consumer products or medical products that are extremely mature. Early stage preclinical funding from investment standpoint is really not that available. And if you have a company that's in that space, it's just difficult to get traction amongst investors. And we all know that when you're in early stage and that cash flow is getting closer and closer to zero, it can present some challenges. The second thing, I know it's one, but the second thing is kind of important because it's more personal to the journey of Bion Innovations. But a lot of the biggest hurdle has been just simply customer discovery. When you're dealing with a consumer product, the consumer, you find the consumer, you can find and go find the customer. But me getting a meeting about doing bacterial diagnosis, that involves me going to hospitals. That involves me going to talk to doctors. And that's two things. First of all, just getting a meeting is beyond difficult. So you really have to leverage your network. And then the second thing is when you go to them and you say, hey, look, the way you've been doing this for the past 100 years, I have found a way to do it better. And the first thing they do is they look at you and they say, no, you haven't, because we've been doing this for 100 years. And so disrupting the medical space is difficult because in order to keep people safe, they rely on the same way they've done it, habitual nature. That's the way you keep people safe. So disrupting that sort of thing, gets people out of that safety net. And in medicine, that's not a good place where a lot of doctors and physicians and healthcare leaders like to be. So those are the two major challenges I've kind of run upon, just doing customer discovery and then getting to the point where we can get enough risk capital such that we can actually prove, fully in humans that our test is viable.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
That's interesting. Well, it almost seems like you could just show them like an episode of Star Trek and say, "Hey, Dr. McCoy's been doing this for a long time and it's working."
Right.
I mean, because that's what it, and not to to make light of this, but that, I mean, it almost sounds like that's what this device is kind of does. I mean, it gives you that real time analysis of bacterial infections, and so it sounds pretty similar. Of course, I know the technology probably doesn't match up correct, like that, but it does sound like this is something that Dr. McCoy will pull out his pocket and go over, scan over the body, like, okay, Jim, you have this.
Right. Well, that's something that's one primary reason that we have gotten some traction with investors, because they, as soon as I do my elevator pitch and they hear real-time diagnosis, they immediately know, if they're familiar with the space, oh man, this solves so many problems, not only financially for the hospitals, but this actually is going to save people's lives. It's going to save people from severe morbidity, mortality. They're not going to be getting amputations and whatnot, continue on and on. They see the value proposition. But then the second thing they see is the vision, and that's the vision of doctors walking around with these devices in places such as rural areas that you can't get to a tier 1 hospital laboratory to run all these tests. Or in urgent care centers, when I get there, I don't have to be transferred to a Duke University or Vanderbilt University or a Stanford. I don't need to be transferred to the major medical centers. We can actually run these real-time diagnostic tests, not only at that instant, but anywhere. And so that's why we have been getting traction, and we're very fortunate for that, just because our strategy is so highly innovative. And also because McCoy has been using this for over 30-something years. So
nice, very exciting, very exciting.
Yeah, Charles, I have a couple of suggestions for you. I come from a cellular biology background, and have you considered forming, strategic partnerships with already existing companies, like the Philips or the GEs of the world, that basically can help you kind of minimize barriers to entry to a lot of these teaching institutions and, the thought leaders, in bacteria infection detection and things like that. And then the second question is, would you also considering licensing some of, the intellectual property that you have in order to ensure that you could, continue to scale as well as minimize those barriers that you spoke of as well?
Yes, the easy answer is yes. But going into more detail about the first one, we are slightly weary of strategic partnerships this early. Because we're still at this shaky time to where our intellectual property, although we are in the process of securing it, if we have a large, quote-unquote, strategic partner or quote-unquote possible competitor that could have access to our technology in its infancy and how it works down to the molecular level, that could pose a problem as far as, I don't want to say them stealing, but them adapting the technology for their own usage.
Right.
So that's one concern, but the strategic partnership is something that we would definitely run headlong into once we finish with our clinical studies, because once you've proven yourself in your technology on the clinical level, that diminishes somewhat the risk of a company coming in and doing that to you. To answer your second question, again, it's yes, but they're not on the same lines, but on similar lines, there are some challenges to taking those sort of things on. And much like the strategic partnership, there's a give and take with each one of those relationships, and it's just a matter of managing it, either or. That's kind of where we are on both of those standpoints.
And making sure you secure your IP.
Definitely. Here's the thing, and this doesn't just go for medical devices regarding IP. This doesn't go for medical devices. This goes for everybody across the board. You can secure IP as much as you want, but you will have a competitor that's going to come in there and they're going to challenge your IP directly in your face, which is why it's extremely important that you secure your intellectual property, not just from the patent end, but from the business end. You have to establish your brand. Your customers need to know that going with this brand, your brand, is the way to go, such that when your competitors come in, you've already carved out and acquired and secured that market through effective branding and brand loyalty to the customers that you have.
Exactly.
So it's double-edged here. I mean, I feel as though the way we're starting to see how all these patents go down in the courts and whatnot, we're going to start seeing that companies that rely entirely on their intellectual property from a legal standpoint will be at a disadvantage in comparison to those companies who have taken both sides and established their intellectual property from the legal side, but also generate this very, very, very strong brand and very effective and high-quality product, which causes customers, even when this large competitor comes in, they will say, no, we don't want the competition. We're sticking with this brand because they represent what we believe in. So I think it's a two-pronged approach for securing intellectual property, both legal and business.
That's a great point. Nicole, I'm going to move on to you for a second. I'm curious, in the process of you forming Skydera, what are a couple of the mistakes that you made, and what did you learn from them, and what would you like to share?
Sure. So when we started Skydera, something that was interesting, so I bootstrapped Skydera for about 2 years to get us to the point where we had a pretty sophisticated tool. I came out of the enterprise space, like a 15-year tenure out of the enterprise space. So we had a pretty strong enterprise tool, and we started to scale too fast. One of the things we did was we had a company come and want to partner with us. And then that partnership turned into they wanted to invest in us and license our technology. At the time, I thought it was pretty cool, pretty interesting. But the problem with a large corporation licensing a small startup's technology is that the small startup is running on precious time. The large corporation is running on infinite time. They don't care. And when you get into that situation, our intent was to go out and go after startups to quickly make revenue and get to cash flow positive. But this large corporation took us to the other extreme, and we priced our product at like a $5,000 a month price tag and went after large corporations. And then when you go after large corporations, the sales cycle is usually 9 to 10 months long. And that causes a lot of issues and problems for a startup that is bootstrapping. So we raised a little bit under $1 million. But the problem with raising a little bit under $1 million, you have investors that are expecting you to hire and go after additional money. And what happens when you're dealing with a large enterprise with a $5,000 price tag per month, going after bigger customers, you end up running out of money. So what we learned is that we run out of money really quickly as you scale, going after the wrong customer set. And so what you really need to understand is who the customer is and who will pay for your assets, the technology that you're building, and also understanding what part of the market you're going after, and not just being dragged along by a larger partner because that's what they want. So we ended up running out of money, refocused the company, and then started going after the original market we were going after. And it took a little bit longer to get to where we needed to be, but as we went after our initial market, we were able to come back from a nearly devastating choice of letting this larger partner drag us down a path that we shouldn't have been dragged down. So. it's very precarious when you start a company and start the partnership and the OEM agreements too soon, because a larger corporation can definitely drag all of the precious resources that a startup has without blinking an eye. So you
like Pac-Man.
It is. You kind of get sucked into the way that they do business because you want to impress them. You want to make them happy, and they're gonna give you a lot of money to OEM your software, and that OEM agreement takes 6 months to negotiate. And while you're negotiating that 6 months, you're not spending time on things that are important to a startup, like making money.
Right.
So you got to be very careful with that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brett, I want to direct this question to you. There's a lot of chatter around crowdfunding. You have the Kickstarters, and then you have people saying, crowdfunding is not the way to go. You have people saying crowdfunding is the way to go. Do you find value in it? And if you do, tell us why.
So my answer to that would be that it depends. So I saw a really great example of a crowdfunding campaign through Black Girls. So they raised a pretty significant amount of money this summer through a summer-long crowdfunding campaign. And they were very successful, but it just takes a lot of planning on the front end to be able to execute that successfully. It's not just as simple as setting up an account on Kickstarter and go. There's partnerships that are formed. There's very, I would say, aggressive, consistent, social media messaging so that you can increase your reach. I mean, there's just a lot of work that goes into it. And I've seen situations where people put a lot of time and resources into the actual campaign itself during that period, and because they didn't put that work in on the front end, it almost wasn't worth the investment. So I guess my advice would be, if you're going to do something like that, to have a very clear strategy and marketing plan on the front end before you invest the time into it. But I think it's great. I have a background of, raising money online for social causes. And so I think it's great when you can, not ask people for, $1,000, but you can get 10 people to give $100. I think it's a really great approach to raising money and also raising awareness for your brand. But I think it just takes very clear strategy and a lot of work on the front end. So if you know that going into it, then I would say absolutely try it. But if you know that you don't have the time or resources to expend, I would suggest trying other avenues, maybe family and friends, and going that route rather than, the full online campaign.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. What type of is there a certain type of I guess like business or startup that should definitely not try it, or that's something that's better for them?
I mean, the startups that I see that are most successful, on Kickstarter, you see things like, devices, smart devices, things like that, or projects, media projects, things like that. Because I'm a social entrepreneur, I'm totally biased. It's full disclosure, but I'm really attracted to the startups that have, sort of like a double bottom line impact, and have a really strong story behind them, in terms of the return that I'm going to get on giving my little, $25 or $250, whatever it is. I personally find those startups the most appealing, but that could be just because of my background.
Gotcha.
Can I add something?
Yeah, definitely.
I think the whole crowdsourcing thing is real interesting. And I'm always, raising money is one of the hardest things that we went through. It's very hard to get dollars. And so I think crowdsourcing is amazing. It's an amazing new way for people to get their hands on money when it's not readily accessible to them. But I think we talk about who's it good for and who it's not good for. I think it maybe has more to do with what stage you're in with your business. I think in a very, very early stage, kind of getting that first $100,000 to create whatever your first, prototype is, that's really hard to come by. Friends and family, it's hard to get $100,000 unless you just have rich relatives, right? So I think at that stage, that's when you want to use Kickstarter and you want to get your first prototype and get your first couple customers. But I think people also underestimate the value of a really good investor, right? And you lose the value of investors when you go through crowdsourcing. Once you start to actually have to build your business and scale it, you need help. You need professional help. And the investors that you get later on, most likely they're going to have done businesses before like yours, or they're going to know a lot of people in that industry, and they're going to give you a lot of assistance because their interests are aligned with yours. So I think crowdsourcing is good to get you off the ground a little bit, but then you really want to get the right investors if you really want to take your business big, because they're going to help you along the way.
Excellent. So that goes back to building an ecosystem, because if you get the right investors, they obviously have the right ecosystem. And if I'm hearing you correctly, it's really about, the associations and, connecting the dots, the alliance with the people that can help you move that mountain. And so that's why access to people, access to I feel like you get a lot of that access and you get those introductions if you go to the right conferences, if you're involved with the right accelerators, all those things. That ecosystem is really important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole, along the way, you need people. People are what is going to really propel your business from inside your company and outside your company. Investors, employees, everybody. So you really have to think about everybody as being somebody who can push you forward. And investors are some of the best people who will eventually help you win.
You also have to look at the type of business that you're trying to fund as well. If it's a hardware business, crowdfunding usually works pretty well, like a Pebble type device, or a social event or a social cause. But it's not as effective when you have a services business or a something like a software business or something like that. It's a different type of beast when you're trying to fund something like that. And like Deshaun was saying, that's when you have to get the right connections to the right venture capitalists or the right angels to help with your network. And networking is something that's also very, very key to having and growing a business. If you're the center of the network, then you're more likely to have, if you have a very good network, you're more likely to have success than if you are not as well connected or have someone who is well connected.
Right. That's a good segue to the next question. Deshaun, I'll start with you. You've been talking a lot about having the right people involved with you and investing in your business. What advice do you have for founders or people who are considering becoming entrepreneurs in order to how and the best way for them to meet the right people?
So I would say, one, I always say do it. Anybody tells me they have something they want to do, I say go do it. So just do it, one. But two, I would definitely say make sure what it is that you want to go do is really aligned with like who you are and what you want to accomplish out in the world or for yourself. There's a lot of people will say like, I want to be an entrepreneur, as opposed to saying, I want to do this, right? So you want to start with what is the thing that you want to do in the world, and then you say, okay, I'm going to go do that. And once you do that, then you're an entrepreneur. Because if you pick something that you just say, I want to be an entrepreneur, and then you just pick something that you think, if I do this, this has the highest chance of me cashing out and making $50 million in the next 3 years, you're most likely going to quit once it gets hard. So I would definitely say make sure it's something you really want to do. I would say get a co-founder I think for me, that was one of the best things I ever did, was get a co-founder who can help you. It's very, very, very hard to be a single founder in a startup. It's a lot of work that has to be shared amongst people, and you can burn out really quickly. And you need opposing skill sets if you really want to attack technology and business at the same time. So I would definitely find a co-founder. And then I would do a lot of networking. I would try to get as many people on board with what I'm doing as possible. Get as many people know what you're doing, as many people excited about what you're doing, talking about what you're doing. Because, like I said before, every step of the way, every kind of incremental progress that you make is most likely going to be because somebody else that you moved along the way helped you out or made a connection for you, or helped you move one piece, to another piece of the board. So we do a lot of networking and pick something that you're really, really into and go at it. Just go and don't stop. It's an exercise. So
that's great advice.
Yeah. The hardest thing is just starting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, if I could add one more thing to that, especially when you're in the early idea stage, and if you're a new entrepreneur, it can be very tempting to kind of hold on to your idea and not share it with other people, except for the people that you know are going to love it, like your friends and your family. But before you build anything, before you touch a line of code, get out and talk to customers and find out whether or not your hypotheses are valid, whether your problem that you think you're solving is a real problem, and how painful it actually is for them and how much they will pay for it. Like, ask them directly, would you pay for this? And if so, how much? I've seen a lot of early stage founders kind of shy away from asking that question, and you really don't know if you have a real business until you ask that question, because people are going to say that's a great idea, I love it, but it's a totally different thing when you ask them if they will pay for it, and if so, how much. So it's really important to ask those questions. And I would say before you start building anything, because you don't want to spend time building something and then find out that people want something different, and have to go back and redo all of it. So that would be something that I would add on to the already great advice that was given.
Great. This is excellent information. Just want to commend you all for your answers. I'm definitely learning a lot. I'm not, business minded like that, so you guys are definitely schooling me.
I do want to add one more thing.
Go ahead.
So I'm a single founder, so I started the company. I did the business and the technical side. You actually have to love what you're doing, because it's one of the hardest things that you're going to do in your life. Yeah. And it's easy to burn out. Like Deshaun was saying, it's a hard slog. And if this is something that you think is just going to get you rich quick, most likely you will fail. And if you don't love what you do and want to make the world a better place by doing what you're trying to do, you're definitely going to fail. But, the people who love it, the people who are dedicated to it, I've known Deshaun for a couple of years now, and we've talked about both of our projects together in different events. And as he describes his project today, and as I describe my project today, they're exactly the same as when we first met. So that means that that's something that we absolutely love to do and that we've been working on for multiple years to see accomplished. And if you think that you're going to work on something for 2 or 3 months and then someone's going to come and try to buy it from you for a couple $1 million, that's really not how it really works.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should ask yourself, before you choose like the thing that you're going to do, you should ask yourself, because when you think about it, when you first have the idea, everybody in their mind is like, I'm gonna do this. Everybody's gonna buy it, and within 2 to 3 years, I'm gonna like, it's gonna be huge, and I'll be rich, right?
Yeah.
So, and you should still think like that. You should still think that, right? And as an entrepreneur, and it's your idea, you're still gonna think like that everybody wants what I'm pushing, right? But you should also give it kind of this test. Ask yourself, if it doesn't go that way, if I end up stuck in this thing for 5, 6 years, 4 years go by, before I ever see, the the progress start to happen, would I still stay in it? You have to ask yourself that. And if the answer is like no, then I don't know. Maybe you want to think about, something else.
Doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So, Candace, I want to ask you, what's in store for you in Textrise for 2014?
For 2014, we're definitely focused on growing our audience, so that's our number one priority, and also bringing on customers. So our customers would be, we're focused on hair care brands who want to market to our audience. And so what we're able to do through our mobile app is all of our ads will be pretty much targeted based on hair type, based on location, and so we can segment our audience and give hair care brands a really unique way and new ways to advertise to our market. And that also includes salons as well, since we do have location-based functionality. If a woman is looking for a stylist in their local area, then those would be the ones that will come up in their feed. So we're really focused on building that customer pipeline. I think one thing as startups, what we get sucked into is the big glory of raising funding and that being the only way out in terms of funding your business. I know that was pretty much how the picture was presented to us. When after you get out of an accelerator and you're pitching, you're just thinking the next thing is getting investors. But really, if you can prove out that traction and bring some customers, people who are willing to pay you, that's almost a more favorable route to go because you're customer funded. And I know at certain points in time you do want to scale and you need that large capital, but initially getting that validation from your customers is really, really the best route. And we have done a small fundraising round thus far. We did an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, and we did a family and friends round, and we do have a couple of local angels. But for the past few months, we were really focused on just fundraising, and then we just took a step back and said, let's just focus on getting our customers, because if we can get our customers and users, then the big funding will come. And so that's our primary focus for 2014. Also, we're going to release on Android. And so I know we have pretty much half of the market share since we're only on Apple right now, and Android has huge penetration.
Taking over.
I know, it's taking over. Yeah, I think a lot faster than many of us expected, since Apple's pretty much the head honcho in the mobile role, but Android has tremendous things going on with their different platforms and devices, and it is a little bit more difficult to develop on. To all the coders out there, they know the pain points because with iOS, you only have a few devices that you have to worry about, but with Android, it just opens up Android pretty much. So I'm getting ready for that, and then also working on some partnerships in the local area to meet the overall business goals. And what we really become is like a tech resource for people in the hair care industry who are not that tech savvy. And don't care to be tech savvy, but they know how important it is to be in the whole mix when it comes to digital and social interaction. Like they can't afford to just stay behind the counter or stay behind the chair anymore. We're like in a digital future is here, and so we're thought as a valuable partner for them. And so another word of advice is, as you look at your business goals for your company, just look and see what partners you can bring in to help you reach those goals, because, a lot of these companies don't do it by themselves. They have a lot of, whether they're partners or, mentors, advisors who have led companies similar to yours, or any ways that those different expertise or other businesses can help, definitely seek out those things. So that's what we'll be doing as well.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, we have to wrap this up pretty soon, but you know what? That's a really important question. So I want to give everybody just a few minutes just to tell us quickly what's in store for your business in 2014, because I think you guys are just very sharp and great entrepreneurs, and, you know, taking the time to share your hours with us. We really appreciate it. I really think everybody needs to hear what's in store for your business, so hopefully they can help you move your business along. So, Charleston, really quick, tell us what's in store for you in 2014. Okay, let's go to Deshaun.
What's in store for us in 2014? Adding more stylists to our platform.
Okay.
We're approaching 1,000 stylists nationwide now. We have great great feedback from everybody. Our infrastructure is now it's getting in a much more stable place. We spent a lot of last 2-3 months doing a lot of building a lot of the infrastructure for some things that we didn't foresee. So we do a lot of customer service. So we've built out a really kind of innovative way to do a lot of customer service with our clients and stylists. So now that the infrastructure is laid out, 2014 is all about going out and getting more and more stylists to join us and partner with us.
And hopefully we can help you do that.
And how can we just let if you know any hairstylists out there that, you know, they're sick and tired of sending all their clients to the beauty supply store to go buy all their products, and they want to be in on that, and they want their clients to have a better experience buying their products at a better price point, let them know about Maven, MAYVENN.com. They can go there, call in. We talk to you personally. We sign you up, over the phone. It's free to join. And with Maven, you start making money the day that you sign up. So that's it. Just spread the word.
We'll definitely do that. Nicole, what's in store for you?
So 2014 should be very interesting for us. The cloud has now become an accepted tool for IT, which it hasn't been for the last couple of years.
Congratulations.
We are releasing thank you. It's been a long slog. So we are releasing our 3.0 version for Skydera, and we're releasing 2 new big data products to the market. So we're looking at, we hit cash flow positive at the beginning of this year, and we're looking at hopefully doubling in size by the end of next year. So we're really, really excited about next year and the possibility of the additional adoption of cloud technology for the medium-sized enterprise. So it's going to be exciting year for us.
Yeah.
Great.
Hey,
and
Joel,
we love
this
this.
is Charlton.
Oh, yes, Charlton.
Yeah,
you're
I'm
back.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. What's in store for Bio-Innovations in 2014?
Okay, so I think something very interesting that Candace said is that the most important thing that you want to go to an investor with is traction. Numbers don't lie. You are making money. You're a business. That's something that I can't do because I have a medical device that I'm building. I got to get through clinicals. I have to go through the FDA, a lot of regulatory. But that puts us in a very interesting position because in 2014, we hope to close a $3 million round of capital that we actually have a term sheet on right now. And so once that closes, that round of capital propels us through our clinical studies into revenue. And so, revenue for a medical device company is huge because that means you've made it through regulatory. And so that's a huge milestone for 2014. That's getting that funding and that's getting that clinical relevance data. And once you have data that says this works effectively in humans, Pandora's box is wide open. So that's where Bio-Innovations is heading in 2014.
Nice.
Congratulations on the funding.
It's not there yet. It's not there yet.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
It's not there yet, but we're gonna help expose you to the right people so it can come because we really want to support all of you guys in your efforts and what you're doing. So that's why we posted your Twitter handles and all that stuff on the flyer that we had for today, as well as there was a blog that was generated today on our Bit Digest, so people know where to find you. So hopefully, we can help open some of those doors for you. And last but not least, Britt, what's in store for Mentor Me in 2014?
So we'll be starting 2014 off with National Mentoring Month, which is January.
Yay!
So that'll be a big marketing push for us. We already have a few free programs that are signed up to launch with us between the end of January and early February. We'll be closing our first term sheet at the end of January. And really just looking to grow at that point, just going out and selling to as many programs as possible, opening up our beta to try to grow the company. So 2014 is going to be a big year for us. Hopefully we'll be getting us several more years of success. So
excellent. Well, everyone, go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, so this is the last question, and it's only one word answer. So with that being said, we'll be able to really wrap this up. So in one word, I would love for each and every one of you to let us know how you did this entrepreneurship.
Kind of breaking up. Did you all get that?
Yes. How would we describe entrepreneurship in one word?
Yes. That's correct.
Faith.
Man, that was my answer too. Man, that was my answer. Took the word right out of my mouth.
Well, we know one thing. You all are entrepreneurs because you all think like it.
I had to get in there before him.
I would say perseverance.
I'll say exercise.
I'll say resiliency.
Yeah.
Great.
I'd say passion, and you guys all have that. So I definitely wish you guys much success for sure.
Yeah.
Can I have a backup word?
Sure.
All right. Since I can't go my number one, faith. My number two is vision. Vision. If you lose that, all hope is lost.
Right. Excellent. Well, I want to thank all our brilliant guests. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out to join us and drop some jewels for us and our audience members. It's been a great and very informative podcast, one of the best ones that we've had. And I like the fact that this conversation was very progressive. So we talked about, real things and your experience, and you gave our audience members a lot of great information. You all were wonderful. Much success to each and every one of you. Definitely keep in touch with BIT. Let us know how you are, how each one of you are doing. Let us know how your business is doing. And if you haven't already, join the site. It's free. There's people that could benefit to some of the experience and knowledge that each one of you have, and we definitely need more of that. I also want to reiterate before we leave how incredibly appreciative we are for the support and love we've gotten over the years from our audience members and all of our supporters. BIT is going to continue to do these podcasts. This is the last one of the year, but we're going to continue this. We're going to continue providing you with content via bitdigest.net. We're going to continue highlighting our brilliant people in tech like we did tonight, letting you get to know them. And we're going to continue to grow as a community and also strive to help our people become world-class in the tech arena. So we're going to be bringing you some fabulous and terrific things in 2014, so stay tuned for that. Most importantly, I just want to say this isn't just about BIT. This is more about the movement. And BIT or any one organization is not going to be able to do this alone. So in 2014, what I would like to definitely see from everybody is more collaboration. We have a common goal. We have a lot of great organizations out there really making the push. So let's get more organized. Let's take the great things that we all have to offer, and let's make even more progress in 2014. So I want to thank everybody for listening on behalf of everyone here at Blacks in Technology. Have a happy holidays and a safe New Year's. And also, I want to shout out to Yuri. how could I forget Ayori? Shout out to Ayori for even putting this idea of doing this countdown to 50 out there. And thanks to Jewel for both you and Ayori for producing these podcasts and getting all the wonderful guests that we have on here. You guys did a terrific job, and I couldn't have done it myself. And I thank you both just for having you part of it. So thanks everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.